Hello, and thank you for joining us for the follow-up as we look back to Sunday's sermon and dive deeper into topics discussed. I am John Malagan.
I'm Casey Clark.
And I'm Justin Cook.
It's good to be back with you guys after a week off.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad you made it.
Yeah, I'm here. It's
John,
good.
we missed you. Glad you're back.
I missed you guys too. I was out the whole week, and I did not feel good at all.
Just not well.
Yeah, not well. But you guys did a great job last week. I really enjoyed listening to it.
We were pretty proud of ourselves being able to pull it off without you.
I know. It was like it's
we
going
were
to be
learning to
shorter.
walk.
Let's
Yeah, right.
just try to narrow it down. Let's just do a short and sweet one. So
Yeah, that's okay. No, it sounded good. I liked your conversation on the color red and green or blue. Was it blue as your favorite color?
You didn't listen, did you?
I'll tell you that's how
True
sick I was.
fan,
I heard it.
Not
In one
following up.
ear, it got lost because it was stuck in my clogged ear on the other side, and I don't know where it went.
I do have a
so.
story on that. We went out for breakfast on Saturday morning, and there at the breakfast place, we were given some crayons, and part of this crayon pile was a cerulean crayon that was the best blue of all of the other blues. There was a blue-green, there was a blue, but cerulean. I'm telling you guys.
I thought you were a crayon guy. But
Is
now
it-
I hear you're crane.
Yeah, your crane.
Don't make fun of my Northeast Indianapolis accent.
Oh man,
We got to get started somewhere.
we do. Yeah, I'm gonna start off. Let's start off with an icebreaker for you guys.
Let's do it.
What is a recent memory that you have that has brought you joy? Casey, I'll start with you.
Recently built a rock climbing wall, a DIY rock climbing wall in our garage for our kids, and it took me many hours to do the mental math of measuring from the wall and into the boards and everything, and where am I going to put these little handles, and it was a monster for me mentally and emotionally and at a kind of a soul level, but the grind that I put in over the course of a couple Saturdays well paid off as I saw Cannon climb to the ceiling that first time. There's a mat down on the ground, so he's not just falling onto concrete, but he's climbing up to the ceiling, and then he's getting down, and it was just so fun. I mean, they were grateful. They were like, "Dad, thanks so much for this," and it was just so fun to be able to watch them climb up and down, side to side, all around this rock climbing wall, kind of 8 foot wide, but 8-9 foot tall. And so it was a ton of fun to watch that.
That's like, I mean, that's awesome, but that's like expert dad level.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know anyone else that's ever built their kids their own rock wall.
I had a grander plan for this. I was going to build it out from the wall and put a slant at the bottom and
like
everything.
an actual
then I got thinking about, I'm like, I can't do that. It sounds great, but I can't do that. So majorly pared it down, and
Well, now you've already got the plans in place. When Canon outgrows this one, you know what the next one has to be like.
Where's that going to go? On the outside of the house? Like,
Yes.
up to the roof? Dude, just go climb to the roof.
he's just gonna start climbing things. He's like, what have I done?
It is quite amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Justin, how about you?
So mine is not nearly as sentimental or cool dad moment,
Yeah.
but we, a couple months ago, got a cat, outdoor cat, because we had a mouse problem.
And this is a big deal for the cookhouse, right?
Yeah, I have had my heels locked in for years
Yeah,
on
wow.
no pets. Good news, after having the thing several months, I still have not had to feed it once. Kids are rocking it.
Hey,
so
that's
Awesome.
a big time win right there. But last night,
I was going to
we
say
got
there were
home.
that many mice.
know,
That's what I was thinking. There were that
Holy
many mice.
cow!
I had to buy cat food.
Last night we got home and our cat was sitting in the garage with a vole, just playing with this
Oh.
thing.
Way.
And it was still like 20% alive. And the cat was just playing with it, like claw it, toss it up in the air, watch it like
Man.
squabble a little bit.
My goodness.
And at first I was like, yes, our cat's like doing something. We have like a fierce predator in our house.
Apex predator.
And then it's like, yeah, it's a baby vole that's still not even dead yet.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But we had a lot of fun gathering around and watching our cat do what it's been brought in to do.
Yeah.
It knows its role.
Like it loves you guys and it brought you a present.
Yes,
I
it was
mean,
like, look,
yeah.
I know my place in the family here. I'm fulfilling my role.
That's right.
Not only getting
See
rid of
this
the mice,
peace offering
yeah.
I'm bringing you.
Not only the mice, the voles, but it's bringing you joy.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's awesome.
Not as cool as a rock climbing wall for my son,
Yeah, no.
but it was still pretty fun last
Still
night.
pretty cool, yeah. Yeah, something recently for us that's brought me and Emma joy. Ezra, our son, is now 4 months old. Starting that range, like he's been trying to roll over. And a couple weeks ago, we were just sitting on the floor with him. Her and I were talking. He was in between us, and he finally rolled over for the first time. And it was just the moment of just like we both paused, looked at each other, like, did that just happen? And it was like, oh my gosh, that just happened. And we're like trying to get our phones out, like, see if I do it again, do it again. And he wouldn't. He was too tired. But that was just like the best parent moment we've had.
It's like the equivalent of a 4-month-old running a marathon.
Exactly.
Just rolled over.
It's so true.
You worked so hard for that.
Been trying.
And he fell asleep promptly after. He's just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yep.
I just spent all the energy.
If you
It
play,
was
if you
so
play the Rocky soundtrack, you might do it again.
That's true. Well, now, so now we're about a week into doing it. So now he's a pro, obviously. But now he does it and he can't roll back over. And he hates it. So now he just cries. So every time he rolls over, he just cries. He's like, please get me out of here. Which that's been a fun thing to maneuver.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's very fun at first.
Yeah.
And then once it does it a lot of times, you're like, dude, kind of wish you hadn't learned this cool new
Yeah,
trick.
could you stop?
You set him next to a wall and put a pillow on the other side so he can't do
Exactly, yeah. Well, then he figures out how to kick that off. And then, yeah. No, we will have it. But yeah, thanks for sharing with that, guys. So as we get into this past week, we were in the end of Mark 4. Jesus calms a storm. Justin, that was my dad's favorite passage to ever preach.
I almost had him come back to preach
You
it.
know what? I was wondering if you did. got some notes from him. But yeah, no, funny. Like if you just talk to anyone that was in youth group in the early 2010s, when he was the youth pastor, they probably heard that 20 different times.
I probably had 6 different people ask me if he was coming back to preach that sermon.
No way.
Youth
That is
leaders,
so-
students.
it. 6 people?
Yeah, like in the last 2 weeks.
Oh my
Wow.
Hey, you know, we're coming up on Jesus
amazing.
calming the storm. Is Big John coming back for that?
Oh man, don't let him know that. Yeah, don't.
We'll find out if he's listening.
Yeah, we'll see. Justin, you preached on this. I'd love to hear a 30-second sermon overview.
And here it is. No, it's one of the most iconic passages in the Gospel of Mark. Raging storm comes, disciples fear for their lives, say, Jesus, don't you care that we're perishing? And he, in essence, reminds them who he is. And so we looked at the reality of Jesus. He's a real person and can be trusted. The power of Jesus, that he can be trusted in any storm. And the heart of Jesus, that he's not just powerful over things, but he has a tender heart filled with compassion and kindness for us. And so he is worthy of our trust in the midst of the storm.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciated this. We were talking earlier about this, of seeing that a lack of faith and having fear in Jesus, we're kind of changing the character of Jesus, who we think Jesus is, when we don't have faith in him. We think of him as someone who doesn't care for us, even though he's shown us over and over again through his word, through his actions, his love for us.
No, it is one of those spots where doctrine becomes immensely practical.
Mm-hmm.
Like I misrepresent the attributes of God.
Yeah.
That's the technical term. Or you said the character of Christ. Well, that's it as well. But knowing who God is radically personal and transforming. All doctrine is practical.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those ways. Like getting Jesus right, knowing who he is, changes how I live day to day.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about as you brought up quite a few things that have immense power, but can cause immense destruction. While at the same time, there's things that unknowns that have immense power that we fear because we don't know if they're good. We don't know their heart. I mean, there are stories all around us that we dive into, like Lord of the Rings. Sauron has immense power,
Yeah.
but he does not have a good, kind heart. But then you're introduced to Gandalf pretty quickly, and you're like, oh, but that's a guy who's powerful and with a really kind heart. You know, you have Aslan and in the Chronicles of Narnia, you have,
The White Witch has
White
tons of power.
mhm,
Should not be trusted.
Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars. One of the time when he's actually he throws somebody into a cavern and he's just talking about power. And I forget what else he says, but
No, please keep going.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to
that was
keep going.
Power. Oh man.
Okay, Casey, we love you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you for a Star Wars reference.
Yeah,
Thank you for
well,
trying.
you
That's
just look at all of these stories, and we have stories because they do capture our
Yeah.
our emotions, our fear of people with power
Right. Yeah.
can't control it or don't have a good heart that is out for our good. So I think you showing that in this story was, I think, immensely powerful for applicational devotional purposes. Like, oh, I can run to Jesus
Yeah.
with my fears. I can go to him with whatever it is that's going on in my life.
Yeah, and not only like telling us that we can, but then at the end, giving us like 2 exercises like, okay, this is how you can start to build up your faith. Like saying from you could be sitting on a couch desiring to run a half marathon. Okay, we need to get up off the couch and then we need to like start walking, and then it's okay, jog and then run and build ourselves up, like that discipline, that practice up. And as we do that, we become a better runner. And just like in having faith with Jesus, we may not have a strong faith in him now, but as we just little by little reminding ourselves who is Jesus, looking at it, we can do that. So you gave us 2 exercises on how to build up our faith and have a stronger faith in Jesus. So the first one, bring your fears to Jesus. Second one being speak the truth about Jesus. So let's look at the first one first. Bring your fears to Jesus. What has that looked like, Justin, in your own life? And kind of like help us see that a little bit more applicationally.
Yeah, I mean, I'd start by saying I don't think I'm very good at this.
Hmm.
Like this is a point where I just think I'm weak in that way, and I through the sermon, through the preparation, like I seek to grow in it. But I think my tendency is like there are maybe I ignore my fears a little bit. Like put your head down, keep going, keep grinding. Like that's just keep moving, get the next thing done.
Yeah.
When I've been able to bring them to Jesus, it's in recognizing like, okay, where is there an unrecognized fear here? Where is it showing up as a stressor, or it's dominating my thought life, or it's maybe keeping me up at night? And it actually takes some work to figure out, what am I actually afraid of? Because often for me, it doesn't manifest as like, I don't fear, or I don't feel afraid.
Yeah.
Like I feel a different emotion. And
like stressed or anxious sometimes.
Correct. Yeah. Or just like, oh, there's a lot to be done, and my mind's going on 100 different tracks of different solutions to things. And to try and like slow down, understand like what's this telling me about me, and then to take that to Jesus and say, Jesus, I'm not sure what I'm afraid of right here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I think I'm afraid of this thing. I'm not sure if I'm afraid of the other thing, but I definitely am wanting to hold on to this myself. Would you help me to hand this off to you and trust you with it? So that's, if you're not great at taking your fears to Jesus, like I totally connect with that. That I feel like that's a big part of my life. But that's a little bit of how I've sought to do that. And kind of prayers where I feel like I'm not covering a lot of ground in my prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned the last couple of years to embrace that more. Probably the last 2 or 3 years, like, Lord, I don't know what's going on. Since I don't know what's going on, I don't know the answer. Since I don't know the answer, I'm not sure how to pursue it. I feel a little lost here, but I need your help, and I don't even quite know how to hand off, but would you help me in that? Like that's what it looks like for me.
Yeah. Casey, how about you? Is there anything to add that you would add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Justin's comment about you have to slow down. If you're just continuing to push through the rat race and like the speed of schedules, you're not going to be able to really evaluate what's going on in more of the depths of my soul. What's going on in the fear, like what is going on around me enough that I'm actually being affected by that. I think one of the things that you can start to do is try to notice, when are you surprised about maybe an emotional response to something? I know I was in the car driving the other day, and I would say that early on in my marriage to Emily, I struggled with road rage quite a bit, and I wouldn't have called it road rage, just co-driving, instructing, like I'm just letting them know how to drive a little better.
There are a lot of student drivers around you right now, Casey. Would you please be their instructor?
Turn signal. I'll honk at you for that. Don't slow down right here. I need to go. It's just things like that. And I, through the gracious prodding of my wife, realized I think that there was a whole lot more anger under the surface there, and a fear that I'm going to get in an accident because it's somebody else's fault, because they're not driving good, when really I'm the one probably a little bit more out of control. Because anyway, so just I think it was just a couple days ago, somebody did something on the road in front of me or beside me, and I remember just like a spike in my emotion and just like a little bit of anger. Maybe not a little bit, maybe it was a lot of it. But I actually, in the moment, I kind of stopped and was like, that was kind of weird. Like I haven't responded like that in a while, and talked to the Lord about it. I was like, I'm kind of surprised by that response in me. And so it's like, all right, well, what inside is maybe misaligned? And I think that when I'm not, concerned for myself, I'm not concerned to, make sure that I'm not, I don't know, I'm considering other people more than myself, having a mind of Christ, like a humility in my driving with other people around me, then yeah, it's just a fear of being out of control and, not having that control. And anyway, so some of that has to be slowing down, I would say, in addition to just like looking for kind of the spikes, emotional spikes in life. I would say another thing that is just good is having a regular kind of Sabbath day, or a regular day where you are slowing down to consider, all right, I've been in the rat race now for 6 days. I'm going to enter this Sunday. And I think I've heard Austin say every Sunday is a Saturday night decision or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you are preparing to worship on Sunday, approach the Lord with all of who you are on Saturday. And so as you are heading into a Sunday, you're not just viewing this day as a day of more things filling my schedule of I'm going to church, I'm seeing people, I'm doing all of this, I'm going out to lunch with people, and then I'm coming back to night church, and it's like I'm doing more and doing more, and it's part of the rat race. And I think if we view our Sunday or our day of rest as more of the part of just working and grinding, like, oh my goodness, we're not slowing down enough, and I know, Justin, you've talked about your days that you've been able to slow down. Have you found that helpful for those days as well?
Well, yeah, and I think you started to tap into this idea of slowing down has a lot more to do with the mindset than my activity.
Yeah.
Right? Where there are some Sundays where I come into it, Lord, help me to be empty to myself, full of you. And I might actually have a lot going on, but the prayers that precede the day and lead into it radically change my experience with Jesus on a busy day. And that even happens on my Sabbath, right? So we've talked about Monday mornings, sometimes into the afternoon, and sometimes I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm reading a book, I'm working out, I'm drinking some coffee. Other times there's like a lot that I need to do with Emily to take care of this thing or that thing. But it's similar with that prayer of, Lord, help me to be empty to myself, filled with you, see your kindness each minute of the day. That mindset really radically changes how I receive Sabbath, because it's not just sit on the couch and do nothing for 6 hours.
Right.
And so I think that's a really significant part of when we say slowing down. It's more about spiritually, mentally, in my soul slowing down than it is about activity. it's good to slow the activities down too, but that's not always on the table, something where it can come to a halt.
Yeah.
So you want to clarify that two things, or what do we mean by slowing down?
Yeah, yeah. We've used the term slowing down, but I think in context of this story, I mean, we're allowing Jesus to kind of rebuke the storm of the week as we're entering into our Sabbath. I mean, and we're allowing him to actually bring us and inviting us into the calm of a day that we actually get to approach the Lord and be grateful for what he's doing in our life and how he's showing himself true and faithful, and how he's just showing himself as kind and as powerful.
Yeah. That was great. That was perfect. I just gleaned so much from just you guys talking about that. So thank you. So bring your fears to Jesus was your first exercise. We just need to slow down. Slowing down is going to help us. Like, we can't really focus on the things around us when we're sprinting because we're looking ahead. So if we slow down and just at a walk, kind of look around to see, yeah, those things are actually fears in my life. So that was so helpful. The second thing you brought up, Justin, was the exercise of speaking the truth about Jesus. I kind of just gave us the example of like doing that together, and even just asking each other, instead of just how was your day, but more maybe just what is where did you see God's kindness in your week this week? I thought it was so helpful. Just little things, like we're already having conversation with people at work, at home, community group, church, lunch, wherever it is, how we could just turn that just a little bit to put our focus back on Jesus, in that building up our faith, not only with Jesus, or building our faith with Jesus, but it's also building a stronger community with one another. And that was really helpful. And I thought it would be really, really cool if maybe we could even just do that right now with the three of us, of just kind of looking at like our week this past week, and how have we seen God's kindness throughout our weeks, and how can we take joy in who Jesus is through that. Justin, do you want to start us off with that?
I'd be glad to, and I commend you. Like, what a fun little exercise for us to do together here. Like, this is not something I do all the time with other brothers, and like even I'm kind of excited to like hear what you guys will say. I'm like, we should do this more often. I hope other people do this.
Yeah.
Or encouraged to, like, so I'll give you two things, and for me, it's seeing little things, not through the lens of like, oh, that was just a nice thing, and I'm glad it worked out well, but disciplining myself to see the kind hand of the Lord in little blessings. So I'll give you, I just had two a second ago, and now they're escaping me. This is how it works sometimes. Okay, no,
That's okay.
So it was maybe a week and a half ago. We had 2 nights, 2 out of like 4 nights. We just got to spend the night with some really dear friends. And we weren't really talking about anything in particular, just enjoying one another. And afterwards, Emily and I were talking. I thought, wait, what a kindness of the Lord that we have like good friends that we get to enjoy Saturday night with, or other nights too, I suppose. Sometimes around a fire, sometimes not, sometimes going to a game. And it's just refreshing just to sit and laugh with friends. And like, Lord, there's so many people in the world that would love to have a weekend night where they could just hang out with some friends. And you've been so kind to give that to us. Like, thank you. So that was one thing recently. There was another one as well. And honestly, it is escaping me. It's not supposed to happen when you're recording. I didn't script any of this. It was just things I was thinking about. So maybe I'll kick it over to Casey, and I'm sure it'll come back.
If it does, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, it's hard to ignore. I mean, the kindness of the Lord and the recent good weather that we've been having here in Indiana. I know that weather has been devastating in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
We, however, in our everyday lives right now, I mean, we get to really enjoy not only beautiful weather and temperature, but the sunsets recently have just been unbelievable. I mean, I love getting in the car with our kids at night and just being like, what colors do you see? And the, array of colors that they describe from the sunset is just like, man, what a kindness of the Lord to artistically provide for us. I mean, just a picture, a portrait of a gentle beauty each night. So that's been awesome. I think, one of the nights that Justin and I were able to share was for a friend's birthday, and we sat in front of a campfire for a while. And just like, fire is an amazing thing when you think about the science of it. But a bunch of guys, and I'm sure girls do this too, but actually girls did it last week at the S'mores and More. You sit around a campfire, and like there's something so mesmerizing about the flames and the opportunity that it actually brings people together because of the warmth, but the conversation is even better, and that's an amazing thing. The kindness of the Lord and just giving heat in coldness. And I was even thinking as simple as I woke up this morning, I was able to turn to an app on my phone and turn on the heat because it was quite cold when we woke up this morning. And so, there's just a bunch of different little kindnesses that, that the Lord provides. And I think that those are a couple in my life that have been really fun. I think another thing is, John, you're probably not expecting this, but today is your birthday, and
it is my birthday.
It is your birthday. But there's a kindness of the Lord to everyone who knows you, that they get to receive a little bit of God's kindness through seeing your walk with Jesus, through seeing your personality, through seeing the things that you love and the way that you love your spouse and your kid and your friends and your sports teams and your technology and your podcasts. And there's so many things that you love, and you have a lot of vigor of life for. And as just someone who just enjoys having a lot of fun, but also really intentionally loving people, you have just been, I know, not only a kindness to me from the Lord, but I know to so many who get to interact with you. And so, I even call that out. I think that is an evidence of God's kindness.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's for making me feel loved on my birthday.
Yeah. Well, this will come out tomorrow, so it won't be his birthday.
That is true. Yeah,
today when it comes out, but today when we're recording, which is Tuesday, it is his birthday. Justin, did you remember yours?
I did. So there was two other ones that I was trying. How did I forget this stuff? No, so I don't know if anybody else wakes up grumpy. Sometimes I wake up grumpy, and sometimes my kids wake up grumpy, and then we're trying to get out the door on time to school, and it's like just all this like arguing before 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, this is not good. And we had a day a couple weeks ago when everybody woke up happy. Like nobody was grumpy. And we almost went out the door without even thinking about it. And Emily and I stopped and looked at each other and said, God has been so kind to us this morning. These little things, like there's just, everybody woke up happy today. Like, I don't know why people wake up grumpy one day as opposed to the next. Like nothing bad has happened yet. And it was like, oh, this is lovely. Lord, thank you. Yeah. And then there was another one as well. Emily and I were talking the other day. I hear from pastors all the time talking about different things where their elders are on different pages. They're trying to go this place, trying to go that direction. And I see immense kindness of the Lord that he's given a huge unity to our pastoral team here. And so there's sometimes I listen to podcasts or read books and guys hear about different fights. And I'm like, boy, I'm sure that's really difficult. And in the kindness of the Lord, that's not been a battle we've had to fight. And I don't assume it'll always be that way. I hope we don't have to. Yeah. But in this season, we were just talking yesterday as we went for a walk, like, boy, the Lord's been so kind to us to have a unified pastoral team. And that's a blessing from his hand that we don't take lightly. And so there's just a couple little things. We're just trying to recalibrate our eyes to not see like, oh, that's good, but oh, that's actually the active, kind hand of the Lord in our lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think one thing for me is really my family just being a kindness of the Lord, and that being like Friday night. We just went over to my parents' house. They had us over. We had cake and just hung out with family, and I think it's just such a kindness that I have siblings and parents and a wife that we all get along really, really well, and that we can for the most part, just sit around and talk and tell stories. And It is such a refreshing time for me. That think that, but yeah, even just having friends that just aren't really that close with their siblings anymore, and but I get to see them at least once a week, and that we get to hang out. And even one of my brothers was like, "Hey, we should have like a siblings breakfast tomorrow morning." So saw them from 5 to 11:30 Friday night, and then got up super early at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Hung out with them for another 4 hours and had breakfast, and we just talked and laughed, and it was
That's awesome.
super awesome. Just a relaxing time, and just thankful for the Lord for His kindness
Hmm.
with a family that way. Um, well, thank you guys so much for sharing those, um, and just helping me see just in ordinary things how the Lord is kind. Um, I hope you guys are encouraged in that too. Casey, with that, would you just mind just praying just real quick, just a prayer of thankfulness to the Lord for His kindness?
Yeah, yeah, and part of that, yeah, I'll thank the Lord for His kindness, and also maybe even practice bringing our fears to Jesus.
Mm.
You know, we mentioned a lot of things. You know, I think Justin, you did on Sunday that I think are so relevant for so many people, and so just bringing that to the Lord in prayer and
Yeah.
practicing that. Let's do that together. Father, we come to you because one, you are worthy of our attention and our worship. You have shown yourself faithful so many times, and you sent your Son to not only bring salvation, but to show your loving kindness through him, that you would redeem a people for yourself, a people who are not lovely, but yet you love. You love unconditionally, and we thank you for the love that you have shown through your Son, Jesus. You now show through ordinary providence and just through the way that the world is set up to work through sunsets and weather and campfires and birthdays and so many different things, even moods, that we could wake up in the morning and everybody in the house is peaceful. What a kindness each of those are to us, and we want to slow down enough to recognize those kindnesses from you. But Lord, may we notice that that your kindness is meant to lead us to you, not to your gifts. That your gifts are meant to lead us to the giver. They would make terrible, awful gods if we were to go and worship them instead of you. But it's from you and from your heart that you give us gifts and such kindnesses. But Lord, so many things in our world actually draw our attention and our focus away from you. We look to other things that we think will actually satisfy, other fears that we seek to have control in. Lord, we confess that there have been many things recently that have drawn our fears away from actually caused our trust to not be in you. Whether it's hurricanes and devastation from that, and even there's upcoming another hurricane coming, about to hit Florida in a day or two. Lord, we recognize that you are sovereign over both the good and the calamity. You are sitting in heaven and know what is going on, and you are near to the brokenhearted. And so we don't run to our fears, we run in faith to you, because you are sovereign over them. We, in a presidential election season, we don't look for salvation from any mere human. We look to Jesus, who is both God and man. He not only had power, but he is power. And we thank you that he is able to calm the storm, Lord, in sickness, in things breaking, in emergency physical situations. Lord, we look to you. There have been many things recently here in the life of our church that things break in this world. And we come to you because we recognize only you can and will put together everything right again. And when you come back, Jesus, you will make all things new. So we look to you in love And we thank you for your kindness. Thank you that we can look to you in faith and not be so gripped by the things that we are afraid of, that we don't worship you. We look to you, and we ask that you would go with us this week. In Jesus' name, amen.
Man. Thanks, guys. Love you both.
Hey, love you too.
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
Love you too.
it's good.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us for the follow-up. We'll be back next week, Wednesday.
Happy birthday, John.
Oh, thanks. See you.